Hello, YouTube. This is Flamingo Pessoa, and I am going to talk about narcissism as a natural force and what to do about it. Narcissism is a hot topic as of late because we see it all around us. They say it's not as prevalent as it is, but you see it in your families. I think that's where it hurts the most, but you also see it in business. Some argue that our society is organized narcissistically. Capitalism, I would say, is a very narcissistic structure. It's going out and getting as much for yourself as you can, usually to the detriment of other people. Now, with me saying that, I'm not saying that I don't have narcissistic qualities. I've often wondered if I have some kind of narcissism going on because I can be self-absorbed, and but it is a thing that I'm working on, and I think that the fact that I do reflect on that shows that I may not be narcissistic, but I'm not a clinician, so I can't diagnose these things. Somebody else would have to do that. I do have other issues that I work on, namely depression, but that's a thing that I'm working on, and I think the self-absorption comes as a feature of depression. So yeah, I think that narcissism is everywhere you look, and that's why people are talking about it. And I think that it's become a hot button issue because of the internet. The internet is giving people the opportunity to talk to each other and share their stories and their experiences, and they're getting feedback, and they're like, oh, that's covert narcissism. This is overt narcissism. Donald Trump may very well be a narcissist. I can't diagnose that, not a clinician. I would assume so. And then there's clinical narcissism, and then there's narcissistic style. I'm just going to say the word narcissism because I think that if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you know what it is and what it looks like. Narcissism, in essence, from my understanding, is a preoccupation with yourself. And the extent to which, if you're a narcissist, the extent to which you relate to other people is the extent to which they are serving you, as serving your needs and your agenda. Now, I think that this is a totally natural thing. I think capitalism, I think everything in the natural world is natural. So it's all happening for good reasons, and it's narcissism isn't anything new. I think the word is just a new thing, but I think that the force of being preoccupied with oneself and being selfish is nothing new. And but I do think that it is harmful, and I do think that it is something that, because now that we have a word for it and we can identify it and we know what it looks like, I think that we should do everything to battle narcissism within ourselves. I do think that we all have a little bit of that in us, and it can be useful. Narcissism usually means that you have charisma, in the overt sense, in the out and out, the traditional narcissistic sense. It means you have charisma. It's usually very magnetic, and charisma means confidence, and for a lot of people, confidence means competence, which isn't always true, and you can totally fake charisma. I don't have a lot of charisma, but there have been times where I've been able to fake it for interviews, but But yeah, I think that it is good to take care of yourself. I don't think that you should totally sacrifice yourself. Um, so you got to survive, right? And you also want to have a good life. And we live in a capitalistic world. The whole world is affected. It's narcissism. Think goes hand in hand with capitalism, and those are the dominant forces in our world. It is winning, and I think that. But I do think that we want to, and when I say we, I think anybody that have been affected by narcissism, and they want to make the world a better place. Um, I think that they would want to battle narcissism. And by battling narcissism, I think the way you would do that, the opposite of narcissism is compassion. And I think the reason compassion is the opposite of narcissism, because compassion means paying attention to the other. Now, you don't want to do that to the detriment of yourself. You want to protect you don't want to be compassionate to somebody that seeks to rob you or seeks to do you dirty in any kind of way. You don't want to be compassionate with them to the extent that you're going to get hurt by it. But, in terms of the justice system, the justice system is also very narcissistic. It's very vindictive. It's very vengeful. I don't know if the prison system is doing anybody any good. I think it just seems like a big torture chamber. I do think that our society needs to be totally revamped and redone. And I think that that's not going to happen in my lifetime. And the things that I'm about to say are probably not going to happen at all. But I do think that, and I've been thinking about narcissism lately because I have been affected by it. Not just whatever, the narcissism within myself that has hurt me and hurt others, but also seeing it in other people and having it affect me has made me very sad. And I think that the wounds that I have accumulated over the years from narcissistic people, like my father, I think that, I don't know, he's got things going on, but I think narcissism is certainly one of them. And yeah, totally messed me up. And so I think that narcissism is a conservative thing, and not necessarily conservative in terms of the Republican Party, although I'm not Republican. I'm a liberal person, but not necessarily Republican. I think conservative in terms of you're conserving your energy and resources for yourself and for people like you, right? And you want, hanging out with people like yourself is ultimately a self-serving thing. And I do think that narcissists have a tendency to sort of nest. They sort of attract each other and nest together and complement each other because they have it's the same energy. Like attracts like. Who knows how long that will last, but we see it all over the place. And they also attract people that are compassionate, but they're naive. And so I think that it's a conservative thing. It's also a very capitalistic thing. And we all have conservative qualities and capitalist qualities. Conservative, conserving energy for yourself and people like you, and capitalist means that you seek to gain from other people. It's basically just it's basically gain, right? You're seeking to get something from something, in essence. And compassion is more liberal. And liberal, I define, is the extent to which you consider people not like yourself, people the other, and of course, you want to be a little conservative. You don't want to be totally negating oneself, but you do want to consider other people, because you're not the only person in the world, and there are all sorts of people out there, and they should be taken into consideration. I think that compassion is also socialist. It's a social, pro-social thing. It's taking care of your family. It's taking care of your community. It's being nice to people. It's sharing. It's a socialist type of thing. Socialism, capitalism, all of these things are natural things. They've emerged from history. But capitalism and conservatism and narcissism, those have always been the stronger of the two. Now, this is a tall order. How do we, if you do wish to, because we currently see where capitalism is going, and we see, in the Trump era, we see where this is leading us. There's a lot of people hurting from it. There's a lot of people hurting right now. And there's always been a lot of people hurting. But I do think that the aim should be for humanity is to get better. I do think it's to make we're always going to suffer, but we shouldn't have to suffer so much. And I think that ultimately compassion is empowering. And not empowering people in the sense that they are lording power over people, but empowering people to be the best version of themselves that they can be. It's kind of like the show Ted Lasso. I love that show. It's he's a coach, and it's not so much about gaining and winning all the time. It's about making his team the best version of themselves they can be. And I find that very inspiring. And so how do we do that? What steps can we take? Now, by the way, I don't do this currently. This is a thing that I've been thinking about. I created this channel just to talk about ideas. I'm not always going to be talking about this. I'm just going to talk about whatever I want. But this is a thing that has been on my mind. And if we do seriously seek to make the world a better place and a more compassionate place, like we all say we want to do, no, we don't all say it, but a lot of people say that we want to make the world a better place. They say one thing and then they do another thing. And I'm guilty of that myself. I do the same thing. But if we really want to make the world a better place, what could we do? Well, if we want to strengthen our compassionate muscles on the collective level, we can't change other people. We can work on ourselves. Okay, so we can't be proselytizing and say, oh, kind of like I'm doing right now. But I'm just sharing an idea. You can't be like beating people over the head with your compassion, but you can just be a more compassionate person in the sense that you are considering people that don't benefit you directly, or don't benefit you, right? Considering other people. Now, there's only so much time in the day, and you got to survive and all that kind of stuff. And so being a compassionate person, I would think, would require depth, curiosity, vigilance, patience, the Jesus type things. And I'm tinkering with Christianity right now. I like the Christ part of it. I like the Jesus part of it as an idea. Jesus is an idea. There's a lot of aspects of Christianity I can do without, but I do think that it requires a lot of vigilance and a lot of depth, a lot of connecting of the dots. It requires you to be educated. Education is important. You can't be narrow-minded. That's being narrow-minded is a very conservative quality. And then I think that it also means on a more macro level, maybe that's the word, is not supporting, not enabling um, narcissistic narcissistic structures, um, and not enabling narcissism in people or structures, and by structures I mean like business, um, or even schools, or any area of life where it's a kind of a scam, where the thing that's being offered is not paying out to the effort that is being put in. You know, justice is represented by the scales, and there's a balance between two things. And if a company is known for exploiting its workers, or if a school is known for offering degrees that don't, offering degrees that don't pay out in the end, if it's a system, it's not supporting systems that scam people, and that's a tall order, because there's a lot of scams out there. My family, we get stuff from Amazon all the time, and Amazon is not a good place. Walmart is not a good place. They don't pay their people a living wage. There's a lot of people in poverty. Most of capitalism is narcissism. And what I'm asking is to compassionately withdraw from that the best you can, and while at the same time being educated, and then offering inputs for something better the best you can. Even if that means writing a letter to Jeff Bezos, or writing a letter to Elon Musk. I think that sounds futile. It sounds like it's not a thing that would make a difference in the world. But I do think that if we do wish to make a difference, and this is spiritual warfare, but I mean, I'm asking you to be a compassionate warrior, which means basically withdrawing from the current norm, because that's the only way we're going to fix it. This has been a long time coming, and I do think that I'm not the first person to say this. I'm a Bernie Sanders guy. Bernie Sanders has been saying this kind of stuff for a long time. You got to support people, not structures and outfits that push people down, right? Amazon is making things more convenient for you to get, but it's not really making the world a better place. Okay, and use your intuition about that. Is Tesla, is Kroger, is Walmart, are they making the world a better place, or are they just selling goods so they can be top dog, right? I am asking for a more socialist future, and I think that might be dangerous during this time, but I think that and I don't think that capitalism is all bad. I mean, of course, it's natural. But I do think that if we want to balance out so capitalism isn't so powerful, we have to withdraw from it, and we have to, in a sense, go back to nature. Even if it means growing your own vegetables, even if it means fixing your own stuff, even if it means life being less convenient. Now, I don't do that. So I got to start. This is just an idea. You got to start myself. So, so basically it's being compassionate to others, considering people that aren't like you, which not harming them, helping people, not harming. And doing that on an interpersonal level. And then when it comes to the businesses and the institutions, that was the word I was looking for earlier. The institutions, if the institution isn't running in a way if the institution is running in a way where it's unhealthy in any sense, any way you want to interpret that, then it is up to you to influence it so it can be a better, a healthier institution. And because our actions, the things that we buy, the things that we, our action, all of our actions are a vote. It's a vote for reality. So, even if you didn't vote for Donald Trump, if you're supporting Trump-like things, Trump-like institutions, Trump-like people in your personal life, if you're enabling them, you should still be compassionate, because they're, narcissists are the other too. So you should try to be compassionate. But if you're, putting these people on a pedestal, then you're voting, spiritually, you're voting for Trump. Trump is a reflection of us. He's a reflection of the electorate, of the voters. The world is a reflection of you. So you got to do, and I got to do, we all got to do, if we truly want the world to be a better place. And we don't, if we complain about narcissists and we want to fix that in any kind of way, then we have to not support, enable that. And I think support is a different word. I think that you should support people. You want to be compassionate, but don't enable the narcissism to overpower. And that's all I got for right now. Who knows what I'm going to do with this channel, but yeah, that's it. All right. This is Flamingo Pessoa, and have a good day, compassionate warriors.